What I'll do is that when you saw the investors' feedback in terms of what obstacles and challenges you're seeing from your perspective, what I want to bring is a brief overview of the developments which are happening on the market infrastructure and the regulatory landscape in the capital markets here in Africa. So to give you a perspective of what's happening around the themes which you have identified in your feedback. And we're going to look at under 5 themes. The first one is the market infrastructure in depth, which is talking more about what's happening in terms of the new markets or new exchanges, the product diversity or the depth of the market and liquidity. And the starting point is always is that the Africa is not a single investment destination. There's 54 countries with different complexities. Within sub-Saharan Africa itself, there are 16 countries which have functioning capital market, the stock exchange. Angola was the latest country to have a stock exchange a couple of years back, and in fact, they had their first equity listing last month. And among the new one, the Ethiopia is working on setting up a stock exchange now. So that's the important perspective there. And in terms of the product diversity, the different countries are looking to introduce the new products, like Kenya started a derivatives market a few years back. Nigeria is working on one. Mauritius set up a venture market, which is a platform dedicated for unlisted companies to trade their securities. 9 countries have introduced product which can be classified under green or sustainable, which shows the focus now the countries in Africa having in terms of introducing the sustainable product. There are already 7 countries, which have the green bonds. And in addition, there's always a theme around that how the different markets in the region can be linked or can be integrated. And one of the projects is the Africa Exchange Link project, which is basically trying to connect the key markets in the region and allow the trading investors within the region to trade among these markets. And similar to what we saw in the intra-Africa trade after the signing of the African Free Trade Agreement, there's a huge opportunity in terms of the intra-Africa investment on the capital market perspective as well. And equally, similarly, there are initiatives in play in terms of integrating the East African market and the West African market. So the huge amount of work happening on that space. The second theme I want to talk about around the regulatory harmonization and the market integration. In the last 5-6 years, we have seen all the key markets linking with their global associations like ISCO, World Federation of Exchanges, or the World Depository Association. And where it is helping is that the countries have started to benchmark their regulatory framework against the best practices. And in fact, in the last 5 years, we have seen the securities regulations being reviewed and refreshed in South Africa, in Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, almost in all the key markets in sub-Saharan region, the securities regulations have been reviewed. On the tax front, the 14 countries have a tax treaty to incentivize foreign investments. And then in terms of the financial reporting and transparency perspective, also the number of countries working in terms of how the disclosure in terms of the financial reportings to be improved, or there are proper scheduling of financial reporting so the investors have the information. So that's like sort of second theme. The third, I think, is a very important theme around what is the domestic investor capacity. And we know that the deepening of the domestic investor capacity is quite critical from a sustainable capital market perspective, which as of now is an evolving story. I mean, 95% of pension assets in Africa is sort of concentrated in Southern Africa. in South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, because traditionally their pension markets old, but we have seen, big growth happening in Nigeria and Kenya as well. And this growth in domestic investor capacity is also having an impact of the growth of the capital market, as well as introducing them to the new asset classes, like the financing of infrastructure, work on the real estate. And I think it's an important topic also for the global investor perspective in terms of the collaboration between the global investors and the domestic investors in the region. However, it's still very small. There's a huge capacity, because if you look at the benchmark like pension fund to GDP ratio, most of the markets are still in the low double digit, except the Southern African market, so which reflects the huge upside, and which is there because we know that Africa is young, and the demographics, and it's only going to grow from that perspective. The next theme, I think, which is quite critical for investors around the enforceability of the contracts and the standard agreements. And again, on that front, a number of countries working in terms of, adopting ISDA, GIMRA, introducing the provisions around the closing out the netting enforceability, which is critical from a, the market perspective. And more countries are now looking at that, how they implement the global standard agreement, which allow easier trading and easier access for the global investor. And the last point I would like to make is around the digital development in the capital market space. I think we have all heard the amazing story or amazing success which Africa showed in terms of adoption of the mobile banking and what it did in the banking space. And we think that there's a similar opportunity for the region in terms of leapfrogging in the capital market space as well. And a lot of work on that front going on as well. Like there's a regulatory sandbox in 6 countries. There's this central bank digital currency project in 7 African markets in different stages. The mobile trading initiatives in the Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda, where they are basically bringing the government securities access for the retail investor via mobile banking. So there are a lot of innovations happening in that front as well. And we see that as a continuous story in the region in terms of widening the client base and expanding the market.